We tell you guys that everything you think is just sci-fi happens for real, but you don't believe us. Even when we show footage from decades ago with new ones, it's still a denial process for you. When are you gonna wake up?
And aborted baby parts into lab animals. Have you heard of that sort of research?
Yeah, we did an analysis a few years ago showing that over 90% of experiments with using human fetal tissue and putting them involved animals were funded by Fauci's NIAID.
Do you know where they're getting the aborted human fetal tissue?
Um, a lot of it is happening at colleges and universities that have affiliated hospitals that perform that procedure.
Just
Madam Chair, I think.
So you're saying there's man-made aliens, that they've actually bioengineered non-human, non-earth animal creatures that are actually running around.
Well, that they're used in special operations to abduct people and do things like that. Yeah.
Why would you abduct somebody using a man-made alien as opposed to just sending in a military person to do it?
Because they want people to believe that they have been abused by an alien so that they can justify interplanetary war. That's what we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
This whole thing is a psychological warfare operation going back since 1953, 70 years, when they concluded they could use the whole UFO issue for its psychological warfare value. And I'm quoting from the CIA document we have, and that I provided in briefings to people at the White House and Congress. So I think that you have to understand, what does that mean? It means exactly what I just told you. So let's talk about this. There are three different phenomena masquerading as alien. One is actual extraterrestrial. The other are what we call stagecraft. Like in the early days, we have an Air Force intelligence officer who's a witness on camera. And this is actually in our documentary called Unacknowledged. It's had over 700 million people see it. You can see it on Amazon or Tubi or whatever. And he states that they had staged these abductions, and in the early days would take a very short man and then make them up like Hollywood style to look like an alien, and they'd be put on these man-made UFOs, and they would go and abduct people. Now, to what purpose? It's what we just talked about, for the psychological warfare, so they could convince and brainwash people that there was a threat. It's just like Cheney marching Colin Powell up to the UN with yellow cake, or evidence that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction when he didn't. It's all part, it's a deception. And so this is where a lot of people get irritated, because I'm really the biggest skeptic you'll ever run across. About 80 to 90% of everything out there that people put forward is alien. I'm going, yeah, well, the mutilations, human. All this animal mutilation being done by human psychological warfare operations. The abductions, same thing. A lot of these creatures, many of them are robotic. If you look at the ones that people like Stan Romanek, and I have a top secret guy, whistleblower, who's just come forward, who he encountered one of these and it tried to attack him. He knocked it down. It thought it was skin, and when it tore open, there were all these integrated circuits and fiber optics and wires under there. But it looked exactly like that thing you just showed. So, and that was absolutely man-made. And then there's one other level, and those are what are called PLFs, program life forms. And these are biological. So let's say you have an ET that you've captured that's dead. You take the genetic material, and everyone knows we've cloned things like sheep and what have you. You clone it, but then you put integrated circuits in the cerebral cortex, and that biological alien is sort of a programmed life form that can then be used in a deceptive operation.